4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Beauty Business Reset, episode number 2 for 2023. We have one of my very dear friends and a great friend of the show and someone that's been on with us before, David Kinigson. David is the author of The Haircutter's Handbook, which you should look that up. We're going to put the link in the bottom. Buy it tomorrow. Like if you have staff that you have to train, first of all, the look and feel of it, I always jokingly, the first thing I said was, wow, this feels like a great book, which I don't think I've said about many books. Maybe the Bible, I don't know, but there's not many other books that fall into that category. His new book is The Power of Asking What. We'll also have the link to that below as well for you to check out. But David, welcome to the show. Keynote speaker for this year's Serious Business next week, which is January 15th and 16th. So David, great to have you back with us again.
Thank you. It's really great to be here with you guys, Derek and James. Good to see you. Hi to Andrew, wherever he may be.
So, one of the things I always say about David, besides the hair education component of what he does, which is really interesting, he ventures out well beyond that into whether it's charitable contributions and speaking with people that are in the charity space or corporately. You do so much really interesting work. Don't get him started on famous hairdressers, though, because we talked the other day and we turned around. I'm like, oh my God, we've been on the phone an hour. It was like, hey, give me a quick call for 5 minutes. And an hour later, we're just going down the rabbit hole of it, which is always so cool because he's so storied. But David, what's your topic at this year's Serious Business?
I'm really excited about doing Serious Business this year. It's January 15th and 16th. And my topic is what can cause a breakthrough in performance?
Derek would usually say a car battery attached to jumper.
What I would say is that goes along the lines of our theme for this year, right? Empowering everybody. And David's going to be also doing some stuff on inspiration versus motivation. So, David, you want to tell us a little bit about all of that?
Yeah. I'm very excited about the topic. For Serious Business, what can cause a breakthrough in performance, particularly performance excellence? And the thing about a breakthrough is that we don't know how to cause one. We all know that we've had it. We know that we want it. We coach others in it, but we don't necessarily know how to cause one at will, particularly under arduous circumstances or challenging circumstances. And speaking of challenges, it's important for me to share with our viewers, many of whom I know, is that I'm an incredibly challenged individual. And I share that with the intent to inspire people to overcome their challenges and fears. And for many years, I talked about that, the challenges and fears we all have associated particularly with hair cutting. So when we talk about inspiration and motivation, it's one of my favorite topics because they're often confused with one another. And there's a qualitative difference between inspiration and motivation.
That's also a chapter in your new book, correct?
Absolutely. In fact, in the book, it's what's the difference between inspiration versus motivation versus authenticity. Today, there's a lot of buzzwords that get thrown about. My book is about mindset and action. And today we talk a lot about mindset. We got to get into a vacation mindset. We've got to get into a healthy mindset. And that's, in my opinion, a colloquial type of phrase, a colloquial mindset, if you will. It's really a phrase designed to get you into a frame of mind, but a frame of mind is very, very different than actual mindset, which is an invisible and dynamic mechanism in the background that's driving all of our actions, all of our attitudes, all of our internal conversations, our beliefs, our aspirations, contextually in our life, as opposed to, I need to get into a me time mindset. So yeah, I devoted the chapters in my book are fairly short, easy to read. You know, I'm not a scholar. I'm not pedantic in my writing, or at least I hope I'm not. So I wrote it in a way that I think I would understand it if I didn't know anything about any of these topics. And that's one of my favorite topics, inspiration versus motivation, because I'm more prone to go for, like, I'm an inspirational speaker when I'm talking to groups of people, as opposed to a motivational speaker. And there is a huge difference. I'm not a motivator. And if you want, I'll tell you why, you know, what I think is the difference. You know, we'll start with motivation, because it's not as favorite a topic of mine. And simply said, motivation is used to get you going when you don't want to get going. You need to be motivated to do something you want to do. So for instance, if you're training for a sport and you got to get up at, you know, 6, 5, 4 o'clock in the morning to run and work out before you go start your day at work, very, very few people I know are excited to get out of bed 2 hours earlier than they have to, right? And in that way, coaches motivate them to do something they don't want to do. I often talk with hairdressers, if you need to be motivated to run your fingers through your fabulous client's hair, you might be in the wrong profession, because I've been doing hair. I'll be celebrating, you know, 50 years next year. And I've never had a day where somebody had to motivate me to get excited about going into the salon to cut hair. So motivation for me is useful. I think people do need to be motivated from time to time, but it's inspiration that really juices me, because inspiration for me is the process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, especially creative or unpredictable or against all odds. And in that way, I think inspiration is something that's all around you all the time. I like to say it's possible to be inspired by the everything. And one quick note about that, because I don't want people to misidentify what I mean by inspired by the everything. You know, I really am an incredibly challenged human. I've overcome a lot of challenges, from stuttering, nail biting, dyslexia, low self-esteem, thinking I'm always in trouble, thinking people don't like me, taking things personally. I mean, I worked hard in my life to overcome those things, to accomplish anything that I may have accomplished. And one of the things that I hear hairdressers are challenged by, many of them say that they have like ADHD. And that can be a challenge to stay focused. Well, on the other hand, you can use it like, whoa, you know, you can live from a place of awe and wonderment, and thereby turning your ADHD into a positive thing called being inspired by the everything. So it's possible to live a life of inspiration all the time.
Yeah, and we haven't had a lot. I mean, listen, we don't do a lot of technical education on Zoom. It's just not a format BBR. Listen, there's plenty of people that do that side better than we do in terms of, having an online class in terms of cutting or styling. But we do know a lot of your avant-garde, famous and very creative people. And what's always interesting is you see the crazy hairstyles they come out with. But and everybody just looks at the pictures, right? They throw them up and here's your NAHA nominees this year, and they just look at them, and whether they like them or don't doesn't matter. But nobody bothers to read the byline and where it says, hey, this is my inspiration for this. I was out in the woods in Canada during the cold winter, and all the bare branches that I knew would have leaves someday again in the spring. I was inspired by the hope that they had for warm weather, and whatever it is, there's always some interesting story behind it. But you see that with hair color. I mean, when they started to name hair color after types of coffee, right?
Long time ago.
Cappuccino color. When we opened our salon over 10 years ago, and I was thrown in as the receptionist at that time. 10 years ago, people asked for like stain colors. So somebody would call and say, I want a mahogany color. And I was like, well, do you want us to make your hair out of wood? I can do that. I'm licensed to go down in the basement. I'll carve a nice wig out of mahogany for you. It'll be beautiful. But if you need to get your hair done, why don't we pick a shade that's actually in the shade chart? So inspiration can come from lots of places.
It can, and being a hairdresser, obviously I speak to a lot of hairdressers. I coach a lot of hairdressers. I teach haircutting. And when I teach haircutting, I talk about other topics from professionalism, consultation on through to perhaps more ethereal topics and less tangible topics like being inspired or inspiration. And the single greatest place, the greatest gift, I think, besides one's talent for cutting or color or upstyling or whatever it may be, I think the greatest gift a hairdresser can give their client is to be inspired by them. So during the consultation, one of my goals, in fact, the main goal, is to have a conversation with the woman. I will speak in terms of women because that's my primary client, always has been. It's not that I haven't cut men's hair. It's just that my clientele is primarily women. And there's often this adversarial experience between the women and the client and the hairdresser. They aren't listening to me. They cut my hair too short. This isn't what I asked for. And then when you get called into the office, that's exactly what she asked for. And there's this adversarial relationship. And many years ago, I was questioning, which is what I do, the consultation. And in coming up with 10-step consultation fundamentals, I realized that if I could get over in the world of the woman and get the essence of who she is, get the essence of what she's trying to convey in her beauty, in her style, in her fashion sense, regardless of whether or not she's got the right words to say. It's not her job to have the right words. It's my job to listen in a way that I get her. So if you can turn off the voice in your head that's judging her, that's thinking about the thing that you'd like to give her, the thing that's in the class you just took, and I want to give her that. If you can shut all of that off and get over in her world and be touched by the essence of who she is, she becomes your muse. And what happens to you, what happens to me, and this is the gift that you give to yourself and to the client, you become museified by her or him in such a way that what you're going to do is given by who she is. And you all of a sudden get, you have an aha moment. I know exactly what I'm going to give you. Let's go back and get shampooed. And you're in this, you automatically, when you take the attention off of yourself and put it over there with her, all of a sudden, you come up with techniques. You know what to do because you're going to create an individual couture look, a couture haircut, as it were, for her, given by her, filtered through everything you know. And that is that is really like being in the zone of excellence. Musified. I love it.
I love that. And it's hard. I mean, listen, consultations have always been key, right? It's just how well you do them. And unfortunately, it just hasn't been. I mean, there's a lot of different options, right? So it wasn't something that people talked about. I mean, when I talk about the product side, because I don't do hair, is I talk about the troubleshooting aspect. So when they come in, how often do they wash? What do they do? Like if you find out they swim every single day, the products and the style that you do for them is going to be very different than someone that washes once a week and uses dry shampoo for the other 6 days. So there's just so many things to find out. And listen, obviously, Derek, with Salon Ninja, your software company, whether it's Salon Ninja or something else, you should be using, listen, the day of remembering everybody. And I know I cannot believe sometimes that my staff remembers. We've had a few clients that haven't been in all during this COVID crazy. So 3 years at this point. And I'll say, oh, I have, Mary, whatever. And I don't remember who they are. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's the one that, oh, yeah, her son is the, oh, okay. And they've remembered 3 years later that client. Maybe they don't remember the formula until they see them or anything like that. But that's what the software's for, right? So use a little bit of both sides of it so that when you go in, make sure from the front desk side, all the nuts and bolts of the salon are handled already. Everything, our policies, our hours, our parking lot, all of that. So if you can do that and make it so you can focus on that inspiration and you can individualize. Listen, you guys know from COVID closure, people going to box color and all the things that they tried to do that were one shade. And then when they came back, every formula should be customized, right? You should have a little drop of this, a little drop of that. So, use that, use your expertise and find some inspiration for some things, but you should be excited about it. And listen, if the clients are excited, they give you better clients, right? When clients get excited, they're not going to send you their annoying sister. They're going to be like, nah, I don't want to give you that one, but this woman at work has really beautiful hair and she's really nice. I'm going to give that one to David. They also block, right? They're roadblock some of the bad clients that might come to you.
The laws of attraction begin with you.
It's true. And listen, and that's
we're not excited. How are they going to be excited? Right. So
it's really, and that's what we're going to do this all of 2023, but that's why it was important to have David on early on in this. It's, to get some inspiration, be inspired. You can motivate yourself, like you said, and Derek, like I told you at the beginning, he knows how to, there's some ways that he knows. Marlon Brando behind him will motivate you. But get some inspiration from things. I mean, listen, I have 3 kids that are in school. My 2 older ones are in high school now, so not as many of the school project type things, but my little one's still elementary school. So when you see those lookbooks and things that they have to do, especially this time of year, Thanksgiving just passed. What are you thankful for? And they have to put little pictures of things. And with the holidays, make your own. I mean, make it something fun that you do with your staff. Do something inspirational. Book a day where if you're not going to get an expert like David in, and I know as you start to build back from COVID and get an educational budget and things like that, and whether your manufacturers are doing education or even have educators, that's a whole nother, we're going to leave that in 2022. But have the staff do something fun. Don't make it out of hair, make it out of clay, make it out of sticks, do something to get some inspiration and make it a team building thing. Get everybody together and do something absolutely nutty for the cost of bringing in some lunch and have them do, let's all make a diorama today that doesn't have to be hair related, or, Play-Doh and make hairstyles on Barbie dolls or something crazy.
Collage is one of the greatest sources of what you're talking about. What to do with those magazines that are around the salon for a long time. Don't throw them away, and before you donate them, wherever you might, a great thing to do is collage. I spent a great deal of time years ago creating collages to overcome. It's a tool in quote unquote therapy, although I wasn't in therapy and I don't have anything against therapy, but collage is a great tool, like music is, to overcome challenges that you have, things that you're stopped by, fears that you have. It's a great technique. And those magazines in the salon, you give them to the staff and you get everybody together with a little paste and oak tag, and it's very analog. It's get your hands in it, scissors, and cut it up. But collage is a great team building exercise.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that analog and I'm gonna put a note on that because I actually like listen, everybody's so digitally connected now that just to be able to have something analog once in a while, like music or drawing or
Yeah.
writing, is so it's good for your soul, man.
I agree. I like the fact that I come from an analog era, and I'm getting adjusted to, and I've gotten adjusted to. I'm not getting adjusted to it. I've gotten adjusted to a digital, technological environment that we traffic in today. But having a balance between those two worlds is really useful. And like with anything else, the pendulum swings. And the pendulum right now is here digitally, but it always swings back, hence the interest in vinyl. We went from vinyl and cassettes and all of that stuff to music you can't even touch, albums that you can't even hold the booklet anymore, to streaming our music. But it doesn't mean that there isn't a value to the tactile and the multi-sensory benefits of something like an LP spinning around on a turntable while you hold the album in your hand and stare at it like you used to stare at a cereal box for an hour.
That's pretty cool. You know what? It's funny. I'd like to find a DJ that's going out of business and take a bunch of his vinyl and put a record player in the salon. And instead of using all the streaming services to play, just say, hey, the record player's there. Whoever wants to be the DJ, go pick something out of the box and put it on. You probably have to cherry pick some of the records that are in there. And
we will return to that because it's just how the pendulum swings, I think. When I got my turntable, a few years ago, when I got a new turntable and I got into vinyl, I appreciated it more than I ever had because of what I call the multisensory factor. The fact that you have to touch something, that you have to be gentle with something, that you have the art of putting the needle right on the song and then watching it spin around. It's a lot of factors. And then, of course, the best part, apart from the music itself, is looking at the liner notes, reading the liner notes and reading about the stuff that you're listening to. I think we'll return to it. We always seem to. Hemlines go up, hemlines go down, and same thing is true about technology, I think.
Yeah, no, I really believe that. But listen, David, I want to thank you for being with us today. Guys, the links will be in the bottom. Obviously, you can reach out to David. I'll put his contact information to teach a class. Great time of year, New Beginnings 2023. Bring him in. He does a couple of different versions of some great classes. Haircutter's Handbook, you need to own it. So just click the link on the bottom and just buy it. We're not even going to have the discussion about why you need it if you're in the hair industry. New book, The Power of Asking What. You do have a little bit of time probably to jump on the virtual for Serious Business next week. So we'll put some links in there as well if you'd like to attend from home. Not that you wouldn't want to go to New Orleans. I don't know, but I would love to go to New Orleans. But if you can't do that, you can always do that. But David, thanks so much for being with us, guys.
David, thank you as always.
We'll see you in 2 weeks after the holiday. We'll be on live with Vish, talking about some other new things that you could do for your green side of 2023. But David, thanks again, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Thanks for having me.